Welcome to this tutorial brought to you by To The Tick, and today's topic is the bullish neutral rectangle. Now, rectangles are one of the few price patterns in technical analysis that can be bullish, bearish, or neutral. And rectangles can be seen as trend continuation patterns, sideways consolidation patterns, and they also can be seen as setups for reversals. Today we're going to focus on recognizing the neutral rectangle in a trend continuation setup. Now this image would represent a bullish neutral rectangle price pattern. It's important to understand that a price pattern has two parts. It is considered bullish or bearish as defined by the pole direction, and you'll notice the base of the pole is at the bottom and the tip is the top. Therefore, bullish direction, right? Part 1. Now the rectangle itself is part 2, and it's considered neutral without the pole to actually highlight your trend direction, and I cannot stress enough that you need to be seeing your trend direction with any kind of neutral rectangle picture. So before we get into the details of how to actually trade it as a potential trend continuation pattern, who needs to learn these and why? Well, everyone does. Traders are going to see plenty of rectangles. They happen a lot. They're in all conditions in markets, time frames, price ranges, and really they can be very reliable as chart patterns if we understand when we have an advantage and when we don't. So today we're going to focus entirely on the bullish neutral rectangle as a price pattern that potentially leads into a continuation of trend. So as traders, we won't be able to see those perfect little images. We need to see them bar by bar, and that's how we're going to look at it now. And we're going to see that the bulls have a big base of support. We're talking about the bullish setup, and they've been hitting their head on this overhead resistance and have yet to get through there. Well, that becomes the first order of business. They must get themselves through that resistance and prove that they're going to hold it, and if they do that, then you're off and running and you are watching the formation of the pole. Notice that you have a base, you have the pole which is tilted or inclined towards price, and you have the pole tip which is established by the swing high in price. Now the higher and stronger and more aggressive that pole creation, the action that creates it both in volume and in price, the better. The first bar or two establishes your swing high and your first swing low. You get a second effort that comes up to the top and it fails to go any further and advance any further. And then you get a second effort on your swing low. That now means we can draw our immediate definitions of resistance off the top and support across the bottom. We now have an established pattern. So now let's go back and look at our image, and we have actually completed part 1 of the pattern. And I cannot stress enough that the pole is key to recognize the potential for a trend continuation setup. It is part 1, and at this point in the pattern it has completed. So now we're going to focus on part 2. Part 2, and you'll notice when I slide our little rectangle over here, it doesn't fit the same way that your support and resistance lines do. Does not matter. Does the structure maintain itself? That's really what you're looking for. Are you looking for multiple efforts? And you'll notice a little poke above. You might have a little poke below. But bottom line, equal tops, equal lows. And that's basically what a neutral rectangle is all about. The neutral rectangle is part 2, right? The trend is coming from part 1. And again, part 2, we'd like for this to be a continuation of a trend, and therefore part 2s should be a consolidation of the activity. They've got this big old push out of that pole and they need to take a breather, a pause. Now we don't want them to stay in here real long, but I can tell you that the rectangles seem sometimes like they go on forever. But again, does the structure maintain itself? What you have here is an indecision in the market, an equal balance of buyers and sellers. The market is vacillating here between two clear parameters, and at this point in the picture, no one really is gaining an advantage. So I like to think of this area as a muddy trench, if you will, and a great big game of tug of war. And to me, the middle ground, You can see it with your price action, but the middle ground, more or less, of your rectangle between your swing high and your swing low typically represents your muddy trench during your tug of war. So as traders, we have a neutral picture, but we're still thinking trend continuation based on our pole, basing on that thrustive, aggressive move that we got out of the bulls for the pole, and our edge is being on the trend side of the muddy trench. Aggressive traders can start taking trades off the back line of support. Again, you're going to use very tight stops, because if they cannot maintain this edge, then you don't want the trade anyway. Stop placement gets to be pretty tight here. It's about that concept. Now, the more conservative traders will wait for it to actually break out of the upper resistance, prove that it can hold before they're going to take a trade and run long further from this pattern. We're going to get to take that swing high and subtract the swing low, which is the height or distance of your rectangle, and we're going to get to add it to the breakout line. That would be your first target. Again, I can take a measured move, my entire pole, add it to my 50-50, add it to the bullish side of the line. So let's watch it unfold, and let's just see how it goes. And again, each time we want to see inside these consolidations, we want to see the volume lack, and then we want to see them surge. We want to see a whole new push in volume and price, just like they did the first time. And when they get that breakthrough and they manage to hold, okay, again, trader's choice. I want them to hold that 50-50 right here. I like getting the breakout. I like getting what they call the throwback. I think this makes a very nice trade. It's less aggressive, but it's also not as conservative as waiting for that extra breakout. Once you get that breakout, where do you want your confirmation? Do you want a bar to close? Do you want it intra-bar? Do you want it to take out the previous swing high? All of those are acceptable. Just realize that if you wait, you will have less as an objective, more room for your trade. Now note that we've had a part 1 completion of our pole, part 2 a completion of our rectangle during our muddy trench consolidation, going nowhere advantage, and now we've turned those 2 parts of a price pattern, a bullish neutral rectangle, into a beautiful bullish continuation trade. So in summation, again, we want to be able to understand that the pole is the most important characteristic to trade anything where the word neutral or rectangle is in the definition. We want trend direction. Okay, that is what we're looking for. We want the thrust in volume and price to be higher and stronger, the better. And we want to see the bulls come in with a part 2 and a consolidation. It'll be a pause, but again, it might last for a while. But does the structure hold true? It might not have just 2 or 3 little swings in it. It might have a whole lot more. But again, the longer it goes on, the more momentum you're losing. So again, equal highs, equal lows, new support and resistance lines for that pause part of the pattern. 50-50 is the muddy trench. We might take a trade from there. We want to see the bulls get through there and hold it, and or the new breakout line. A push in volume and price on either one, and we're going to take target measured moves using our pole plus the 50-50 or the rectangle, swing high, swing low, plus the breakout. Now that ends our tutorial today, but I did want to let you know that on our website, tothetick.com, I do always place the videos. We have text to go with the videos, and I give you live chart examples for you to review. This is an example of the bullish neutral rectangle. It's got volume across the bottom and price on the right axis. And again, it gives you all the details inside the example for you to come and actually get a little bit of education and review. And again, our website, tothetick.com/edu. Come and subscribe and join us. We have lots of great material for you. Bye for now.